all going as well. And I'll send you a link. Yeah, I'll send you. That wasn't me. I'll send you a link afterwards so you can actually download the video as well.
There we go.
Right, something happening.
Are you seeing that?
I've seen that. So it's not in display mode, so in presentation mode, but I can see your screen.
There we go.
That's it. Perfect. Do you want to leave that up there so you know it's running and okay?
Yeah. I'll leave that
fine.
now.
Might as well.
So was that your computer in Spanish saying that it was being recorded, or was that mine?
No, it wasn't in Spanish. It's just a really weird American accent. Yeah, I wish you could actually customize that, but you can't. Not yet, anyway. So it's meant to start at 11:30, but you know, by the time everyone's here, it's probably about 3 or 4 minutes past.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, we should finish at midday, but generally the overrun. But people can just drop off after midday if they want to. Oh, you've stolen our logo. Well done.
I tried to. Blending. But yeah, no, we've tried to finish off with there should be a few minutes at the end for questions and that kind of thing.
Yeah, no problem. That'd be good.
But, yeah, we'll see how it goes.
So Tracy, thank you for reminding me that we'd actually met before.
Yes. That very, the one and only meeting we managed to have at Gateshead Council before lockdown, and then we've had no more. And then Rachel's moved on. Did you see that? Rachel Burgess, who used to run those meetings.
Oh yes, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, she's changed position, but I got in touch with her, and they are hoping to start them up again in probably virtual format, I would think, but I don't know when that would be.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, it'd be good if they can start again.
Yeah, it was a good group, wasn't it? A good group of people.
Yeah, it's just interesting to find out what other people are up to.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just sitting here watching out of the window. Laura, I don't know if you can see it as well from upstairs. The guys cleaning the windows of the catalyst.
Yeah.
I would not want that job at all.
Well, I was thinking that, and also the intermittent rain, and just sort of thinking, surely you wouldn't do this in October.
Yeah.
Surely.
The first time it's been cleaned.
Yeah. Surely this can wait.
Yeah.
You would have thought, let's just leave it to like March or April.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Yeah. Right, we'll give it another 1 or 2 minutes, then we'll kick off.
I can see Xander just appeared on my screen. Hi, Xander. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Good. I'm good, thank you.
Spending all my life in this room.
Yeah. Yeah, we've escaped. We're back in the office, Xander, so we have at least some sort of normality in our lives again.
For now.
For now, the new normality, yeah.
The current normality.
係咁啊，又月中啦，
Right, I've
屌
got
你
class
10號已經
6.
收數啦。
Can you mute if you're not actually speaking, please? Thank you. So let's kick off. So we've got a couple of welcomes today. We have Lara Jones and Tracy Wood to give us a talk, but we also have the cohort from our HCI students. So welcome to all those that have joined. Nice to see some good faces on here. So we've got good attendance today. So can I just hand over to Lara and Tracy, please, with your Future of Care, Reshaping Human Experiences Facilitated by Technology. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So thank you for having us and thank you for coming along today. So before we get started, Tracy and I agreed that we probably owe you all a bit of an intro or explanation before fully immersing you in the world of care. So we're going to be looking through a few lenses today at the idea of improving and reshaping experiences within the care sector through the use of innovative technology, of course. To illustrate the points that we're going to be making, we're going to focus on a particular solution as a vehicle for looking at how we can reimagine approaches and create change. We do want to leave some time at the end to kickstart a bit of a debate if you're up for it, so feel free to make notes and get involved with thoughts and ideas. That is if we reach the end of this presentation.
Yeah, Laura, let's do our best.
So we will try. So the future of care is a subject that the two of us are really passionate about. And it's one that we often find interesting talking about as well. A lot of people are often neither here nor there on the matter, but gradually as they become more aware of the numbers, the research, the pressures and the growing demand, they do end up joining our little team of advocates. So we shall see where you all end up at the end of this talk. Tracy, however, I have to point out, has actually lived and breathed the challenges when she went to work at a care home. So it is genuinely thanks to her taking me through the situations, the practices, and the stats that I actually came around to understanding this urgent need to rebuild care and connection. So today I'll be focused on the design and decision-making behind making those simple but impactful changes, while my care captain, Tracy here, will be offering the real-life scenarios and context for use. So over to you, Tracy.
Thanks, Laura. I'm not sure how I feel about Care Captain, but hi everyone. I'm Tracy, and today we are going to be running through a solution we designed and created at Motivait. It's focused on facilitating better working practices in care homes by streamlining the administrative and planning process. It's a futuristic look at care that's more compassionate, more personalised, and more understanding of the sector, the context, and most importantly, the people at the heart of it.
Now, before we dive in, just a quick look at Motivait to set the scene a bit. So Tracy and I are part of a team of psychologists, gamification experts, consultants, technologists, UX designers, graphic designers, and we all come together to use our different skills and perspectives to tackle challenges and drive engagement through digital solutions. At Motivait, we're big advocates of what we would call meaningful engagement, rather than quick fixes. So we're interested in making change based on people's drives, preferences, and motivations. Our process always starts by understanding what our clients and their people need our help with. And from there, we then map the functional, technical, and design specifications. We're coming up to almost 4 years live, managing around 27 million users on our platform and approximately 200,000 transactions a day, with our different engagement solutions active across 40 countries. Each individual solution has a dedicated team behind it, who all day, every day, focus on taking their creative designs and concepts to scale successfully in order to drive participation from users. Today, Tracy and I are coming to you live and direct from our hub for civic and community engagement in the Newcastle Helix. In a past life, we may have bumped into some of you at face-to-face events, but you can still find us roaming the area, so always feel free to say hi from a safe distance, of course.
So as Laura had mentioned just now, we use various methods in all aspects of our work, but our process for attacking a challenge or building a solution mirrors design thinking. beginning with an important empathy stage where we focus on the end user, target audience, client objectives, and the environment we'll be enhancing. And this is something we will be stressing a lot about today.
Exactly. And just like design thinking, a key element of our process is that it is very iterative and flexible, as we can just keep testing and learning as we go. And I think something that I've personally learned through our project work, overseeing solution development and stuff like that, is just how much balance comes into play when you're designing solutions to engage, captivate, and empower audiences. So with civic or societal challenges, particularly like the one that we're looking at today, you have to keep reminding yourself to balance the objectives you're trying to achieve with the real world implications or requirements. So it's not real innovation if it's not practical, and you haven't actually developed a great solution if you're the only one who thinks so. And I think that disconnect sometimes comes because historically or traditionally, when people were looking to innovate, they just focused on the activity or task or process, and when, how can we apply tech to make this better in order to drive those improved efficiencies, making it better, faster, stronger than whatever existed before. Now, none of these outcomes or objectives are negative though. We would probably just argue that the lens is just a wee bit narrow. So we said earlier at Motivait that we focus on genuine sustainable change. So we consider this to be the next generation of engagement and the kind of innovation that we want to aim for. So thinking about what will make people want to use a new process or want to adapt to change, designing with the end user's environment, motivations, and drives in mind. And then blending that with the efficiency and convenience that technology offers. So instead of tasks, we put users and people under the lens in order to design solutions that improve processes and experiences by taking into consideration the human needs and settings at the heart of the challenge. So that's enough build up on the side of innovation and solution design for now. So let's put the lens on the care sector. So over to you, Tracy, on why we need to create a change in the care sector.
Yeah, when planning this talk, Laura and I were saying that we've been really shocked at some of the stats that are on screen right now. And I think it just really brings home how urgently care is needed. Actually, the other day, I read an article that said right now we invest more in the care for our pets than in older humans. Big statement, but to be honest, it's not far off the mark because, financially and emotionally, many families can't cope with caring for their loved ones alone. And yet care staff are still considered to be low skill workers. And, when in reality, if you look at those numbers on the screen, they're about to become the most in-demand skill set in society. And also the recent COVID crisis has shown how much we depend on care homes and also, their vulnerabilities. And unfortunately, this has led into the misconceptions and negative attitudes that already existed around the care sector, care homes, and even just ageing itself. Care workers are underappreciated and overworked, and really it's time that we gave the sector an injection of innovation to change those attitudes and understanding. But just again, let's focus on that 40% turnover of care workers. Surely if we're looking to make a change in how the care sector actually fulfills its purpose in delivering care, surely this is going to be our starting point. And also, think about employee engagement. Unsupported care workers, equals disengaged care workers, which means fragmented care for patients and residents who end up receiving essential care, but not compassionate, nurturing care. So what is making the care worker's job more complicated? Well, when I worked in the care home, I think one of the biggest issues I spotted was the paperwork. And this is interesting because people don't actually realise how paper-based the work can be. Around 25% of a care worker's time is spent documenting care, and I mean literally using old school pen and paper for what is essentially a highly demanding job. And also, let's bear in mind that everybody writes differently and you can't always understand people's handwriting, which leads to huge vulnerabilities in everyday care. Another issue I always noticed was compliance, and in a couple of ways. And firstly, the sector is regulated, obviously, in line with GDPR, but the care plans are quite often locked away in a cupboard, in an office, so the staff end up completing their work without regular access to the care plans. And this makes it really difficult for the care staff to be compliant in their care. The second compliance issue I would like to focus on, and again, this links back to that high turnover of staff in care homes, is recruitment. You know, if you're not able to recruit the right, highly motivated staff, then it's very difficult to, you know, provide safe services on which you're then judged. And another stress is cost. Everyone thinks this is perhaps more focused on the admin behind care homes, but what I mean is the impact staff turnover has not only on the budget, but the pressure recruitment has on the management team and the staff that are left on shift, leading to, again, staff who could become disengaged and probably overwhelmed. And one final stress that I really want to mention is the shift work itself and how demanding it is. Physically moving, lifting, bathing, feeding and attending to people's basic needs, all alongside keeping residents socially and mentally active. It's a tough, taxing day physically and emotionally for the care staff.
So though we may be looking to improve the quality of life of the patient or resident or individual, our end user for a solution actually became the care worker themselves. So by alleviating even just some of those stresses, we empower care workers, improving their working environment and consequently their ability to deliver compassionate care. A key objective when we were looking at designing the solution was honestly just to reduce the labor-intensive admin aspects of the job, allowing care workers more time to dedicate to personalized care, which improves the well-being of the resident and ultimately the performance of the care home, all through motivated, engaged, valued staff.
Okay, so enough of the scene setting. Let's dive in to look at how the solution actually works and helps. It's a redesign of the paper-based care plan, collected and collated on a digital format, hosted on a tablet. The outcomes we wanted to achieve were to create accessible care plans, providing succinct, real-time documentation at the point of care, providing a reliable data record that was flexible enough to evolve with the changing environment, but still informative enough for auditing purposes. So let's begin the way a typical shift for a care professional would. We'd open the solution to the homepage. We log on to our profile and see all the individual residents that we're caring for. We could then select any individual to see further details about their care and about their preferences.
So it may seem like a very obvious starting point, but to be honest, it's actually key for understanding how the digital solution introduces simple changes to have that positive impact on both the care professional and the resident. The digital format allows for information to be captured in a standardized way, and it's all hosted on the tablet that the care workers carry with them, so it's a centralized point of information. Simple changes, big difference. From a UX perspective, if we look at this homepage, you've got the photos and the names and the rooms of each resident in order to aid navigation, creating these sort of visual recognizable prompts for the care worker as they move between care plans. And then if I could also just highlight the fact that each resident has a little color-coded ring. So this refers to the PEEP score, or Personal Emergency Evacuation Plan, which lets the carer know instantly how dependent on assistance each resident is in an emergency. Red being highly vulnerable, while green indicates greater independence.
Yeah, Laura, as you know, I'm a great fan. I love.
Big fan of that.
I love that. I love the visualization of it. But so now let's move on to the resident's actual care plan. In this section, the daily notes are associated with all aspects of care and are captured in one place and visible for 48 hours on the feed, as you can see. This results in time saved at the beginning of every shift. Any urgent notes from the previous shift are highlighted. So, for example, if an incident occurs, this would prompt the carer to look further into this for any urgent actions that still need to be completed. Now, as we mentioned earlier, carers currently spend 25% of their shift completing paperwork and handovers, but with this solution, again, you have real-time information at the point of care. The timeline feature draws down from all of the reports that are within the system and displays them as an overview of the resident, again, for the last 48 hours. And this just reinforces the immediate availability of information at the carer's fingertips, again, reducing admin hassle and allowing, crucially, more time for care.
think the most important thing to point out here is how much changes and improves by placing all the information the carer could need in the palm of their hand. So it may feel like this is a process-focused change, but if you think about it, you go from running around the care home, trying to remember who's had what or what has happened to whom, and instead you're carrying a tablet with you, almost like a compass pointing you in the right direction. The value of being able to scroll up and down the most visited stats feed is that the care worker arrives at each individual side with the immediate information they need to be aware of. So more awareness equals more understanding of the behaviors, which means more ability to respond accordingly. Having that prioritization of information, it just means that a carer can then pick and choose their battles. So because they can see the patterns and the trends in behavior, it equips them as they walk into a situation.
Yeah, Laura, that's so true about picking battles. I've seen the poor care workers have to do that many a time in the care home. Anyway, this brings us to the next screen where we're going to focus on activities. So the activity screen was designed to show interaction and understanding of residents' needs, resulting in more personalised care. So like Laura just mentioned on the previous screen, this step continues to build on that understanding of behaviour and trends in the person. And by recording activity and monitoring the participation levels, the care workers are then able to learn more about the likes and the dislikes, and then provide the individual with personalised activities linked to their ability and their needs. For example, when I worked in the care home, there was a lovely lady called Margaret who had a form of dementia that caused her to be quite aggressive sometimes. But one of the tricks we knew would help calm her down or keep her happy or peaceful was that she loved to talk about boxes. And this was a memory from her working life. And she also seemed to enjoy when I sat with her. So if we saw Margaret was getting agitated, we knew we could employ one of these tricks. And sometimes, you know, it's just the simple things that you learn and pick up in the moment, but you don't end up capturing them anyway. And when in reality, it's actually vital for understanding the person in your care and helping them stay socially included, participating in life and just the world around them. But, you know, encouraging activity is beneficial for a number of reasons, including improved mental health, increased mobility, social engagement, and improved cognitive function. But from a care worker's point of view, they can, like Laura said, pick their battles and find ways around those problem areas. So, you know, perhaps instead of television, offer them, you know, listening to the radio, or instead of talking about music, talk to them about medieval history. And doing this not only improves the mood for the patient, but crucially, it makes the working day just that little bit less stressful for the care worker.
I think this is actually my favorite screen in the solution, as to me at least, it just perfectly captures the positive effects of putting people at the heart of the solution, rather than just thinking about how to speed up a process. So with the participation levels, so you've got those little emojis or faces along the side there, the care worker ends up with a sort of cheat sheet that helps them reduce the amount of times they deal with an agitated situation. They can then use the information to have a much more personable connection with the person they're caring for. So the focus moves away from just giving the essential care that they need to stay alive, to actually being able to provide experiences, better experiences, or, you know, little nuggets of fun and enjoyment throughout the day. So if we think back, this is moving from just being efficient to now being effective in the care that you're giving. So I think this screen is also a good example from a design perspective of how you can just simply apply different formats to help reduce that time it takes workers to fill the information in. So quick taps for time and date and happiness level. You've got autofill, you've got drop-down selection, and it all just moves the care planning away from being very dependent on someone remembering everything, and actually then being able to capture it in good legible handwriting. So if the next person arrives to their shift with no experience working with the resident, so in this case, John, they still have access to those tips and tricks that Tracy was just talking about.
So with this screen, we're moving on to the multidisciplinary section, and here we're able to log reports and bring together different feeds from different teams, resulting in joined up community care for the individual. I think we often see this as the stepping stone between the bubble environment that is a care home and the wider community that responds to the incidents within it. And I think when we look at the stepping stone in particular and think about how the approach and design could be applied to other settings, you know, could this be a connecting piece for better communication? The multi-use of this section by different professionals results in time saving for the different people providing care or attending to a situation, as all as the information is in one place. The objective and benefit here is how technology delivers joined up care across those different care professionals.
The way to think about this is if someone has a fall and needs more serious medical attention, this section comes into play here. The hospital attendees can update this section with x-rays or prescriptions. The local GP can review the notes and make their own recommendations. Whoever administers follow-up treatment can follow one common thread with all the information and guidance that they need. And of course, the care team themselves can then monitor the recovery. So everyone stays on the same page, quite literally, which goes a long way to improving psychological well-being and confidence of the patient. I think the strength of this section is that it really speaks to and alerts people in real time, creating one singular story to track and enabling that seamless collaborative care.
Yeah, absolutely, Laura. And, you know, with the power of this solution, it's not only collecting all the information in one place to empower the people giving care, but it also understands the human again at the heart of it. And with this section, the incident section, you have the same advantage of the activities tracker in that you're building insight into individuals' behaviours, needs, patterns, which is crucial to understanding their progress or sadly decline in health. Here, the technology brings together the different incidents, accidents, and automatically charts them to give the care worker visibility of common problems. The chart and information can go to GPs and hospitals to help them analyse and understand ahead of their arrival. Again, just promoting the value of information sharing like we looked at on the previous screen.
So if we want you to walk away with anything, it's probably just thinking about the fact that the future of care can't just be about keeping people alive. An important lesson is learning how we design a world that can mold to different needs rather than imposing one set of rules or one type of lifestyle. We put this kind of challenge within civic and community engagement at Motivait rather than an area like healthcare, because I think we do really feel that this is a societal issue. The last few months have opened the public's eyes to vulnerabilities in the care system more than ever before. And it's almost like we've all suddenly remembered how interlinked our communities and lives really are. So if we want to combat the issue, this community issue, as a community, we need to apply more than just technology and efficiency. We need to think beyond, there's an app for that kind of mentality. We need to bring empathy, person-centric design, creative thinking, industry knowledge, communications, and much, much more in order to address the various structural, resourcing, societal, and emotive challenges at the heart of an aging population.
Okay, so if Laura and I stop talking now and give you all a chance to catch up, ask us some questions, you know, have a think about the questions that we've popped up screen, you know, just give us a shout, let us know.
Yeah, I've also checked the Motivait Twitter handle on screen with the hashtag that we can all follow. So also feel free to tweet us there if you do want to get involved, but maybe you need to dash off, or if maybe like me, you feel a bit awkward sometimes raising your hand or unmuting.
Wow, thank you both much. Can we have a round of virtual applause for that fabulous team effort?
Thank you.
That was absolutely brilliant. Right, can we get questions, please, from the forum here for Tracy and Laura?
Hello, Tracy, Laura.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for this great talk. Playing devil's advocate.
No.
No, but I will.
So go on.
Okay, so I guess as with many of these information app sources, the power of it really depends on people actually logging all this information, right? How do you, or what's your experience of motivating people to actually log this information?
That's such a good question, because it was almost the biggest part of thinking about the solution design. So here we are getting super excited about the fact that we've sped up the fact that they don't have to handwrite, they can type in, they can autofill. But of course, this is a population who have been very used to this particular process and this approach for a really long time. So introducing a digital solution, especially when sometimes that can have quite a adverse reaction. You know, people don't always want things replaced by technology. They can sometimes be like, but I'm very comfortable with this process and this system and the way it works. So we ended up doing huge research into how we could be implementing this in a way that wasn't going to make them panic more about their jobs. You know, the idea is this is meant to be easing a situation. We're not trying to add any extra stresses. Tracy did a lot of work going into care homes and having tutorial sessions with people on the tablets. We had user groups, so user acceptance testing sessions where we took different versions and stages of the solution to people, had them test it out, see how they reacted. Because the biggest thing is also learning how their brain would work in that situation of this incident has just happened. Where are you going to press? Where are you automatically going to press on the screen to try and, you know, oh, I want to fill this in, but it's not in the place that I'm looking for. So it is a big piece of work, and it is a piece of work that we continue to look into and kind of develop and understand better, especially as we look at different settings, a bit like what we had in the previous screen there of looking at hospices, looking at other kind of care settings.
You know, and as well, Laura, I think if I could just jump in there, when we did some of the user testing that Laura mentioned, we did a training session with some care workers, and I always remember this one particular lady came in at the higher end of the age group, I would say, and she was very negative, I would say, very turned off to even trying the solution, and, you know, said she was wanting to stick to her paper, as you've just said. But then, you know, by the end of the session, I can remember laughing because I had put them in pairs. And this particular lady loved it so much and was so amazed at the progress that she had made during the training session that she actually wouldn't share her tablet with the lady she was working with. So again, I think it just shows that for all people might have that negative, you know, I can't do this attitude when they come in. I think that, you know, you just have to take that time and let them see the benefits of digital, as Laura said, not only for the resident, but for them themselves. And, you know, people do end up coming round to it. That's been my take on it up till now anyway. But great question. Thank you.
Oh, great answer. Thank you very much.
Got a question there from Colin. Do you want to talk about Colin, or do you want me to put it forward?
Okay, I can ask. Yes, I was wondering if the residents, the people being cared for, are they users too? So could they have some way to see their data or add data or help with making corrections if they didn't agree with it?
So I mean, the main end user is the care worker themselves. So they're the ones who need to be filling in the information for the care plan. The first version of the solution was directed at residents of probably usually quite dementia-focused care homes. So they wouldn't always be in a position to be able to interact very well with the solution. But what we would be looking into was opening up for the families, so that the families could have a kind of access and understand the progress or kind of see what was happening in different incidents or the kind of day-to-day care. Tracy, I don't know if you had a bit more experience on that regarding the kind of family access and stuff like that.
Yeah, the family access is a big thing, you know, for keeping in touch, especially during the COVID times that we've recently had, and that is something, as Laura says, that we are looking at. But I also think for domiciliary care as well, I know at the moment they mainly just have a paper file in the resident's home that doesn't get used. And again, I think it would be, you know, as you've said, it would be good for the individual who perhaps isn't cognitively impaired but does need a little bit of extra help, that they then could also have access to their records and, as you say, make corrections. And that is definitely certainly something that we're looking forward to, because, if we're looking about bringing in the greater community, that is something that needs to be, that definitely needs to be thought about.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Got a question from Jan as well.
Sorry, yeah, I can ask. So this was basically following up and really to just ask, did you see patterns of interaction between carers and inhabitants change when the tablets are present as compared to when they're not? And do they use the information or the displays to engage in active conversation with the inhabitants about what is seen there? That's the, yeah, and then there's this sort of likewise, but then later on in sort of in team sessions, is the information used for reflective practices? That's sort of a related follow-up.
So we're not quite at the point yet where we've had enough research come in terms of, a long period of time to be able to see like dramatic long-term change or adaptation. But I think the biggest thing is the fact that and it's something that really strikes me mentally of, especially when I think about, members of my family and how I would want them to be cared for. The idea that the carer would have to kind of deliver care, so, feed someone, and then run off to find a care plan somewhere in an office that could be the other side of the building and fill that in, and then come back and either carry on with that person or move on to the next person. So whereas I remember in the early days when we were first looking at the idea of designing this solution, I was sat there going, my grandmother gets so annoyed at me when I pull out my phone if I'm stood in front of her. How are people going to react if their care worker gets a tablet out? But actually, the fact is that you're still present. So you could still be talking to them. You can still be sat next to them. You're just quickly adding a thing in saying, Margaret has had potatoes and carrots. She really enjoyed the potatoes, doesn't like carrots. So you know that tomorrow, if she puts up a fight with the meal, you don't have to push carrots because you've already got the record saying encourage potatoes. It sounds like such silly little things, but they go a really long way to just keeping people on a kind of even keel is probably what I would say.
Yeah, and I would think in answer to your question about the interaction with the residents using the solution, we're not at that point yet, but the future plans are that within the family portal there would be a media section where the resident could interact with their family. So again, I think we've all seen on the news recently of residents in care homes, like my own mum getting to grips with FaceTime and Zoom calls and things like that in order to keep in touch and combat loneliness. So, it's definitely all heading in the right direction.
Great, yeah, it's a nice project. Thank you for the presentation and for answering the question. Yeah.
Thank you.
No, thank you. And I think with all of this, a lot of what we're looking for is almost more eyes on this, more eyes, more ideas. We've all had recent experiences through COVID where we've had to catch up with friends or family from afar, or deliver care ourselves. So I think in terms of where we go to from here with the solution, we are very much looking for input and very much open to kind of discussing it further. So the questions are great.
Right, thank you. I'm just conscious of time here. Can we have a final round of virtual applause, please? That was fabulous talk. Thank you both. As we're recording this, our video will be available if anyone needs it. But once again, thank you very much, Laura and Tracy. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
guys. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.